Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things ready through a common sense lens. And we all know that Ubisoft is in a very bad spot, right? They've essentially gone bankrupt. They've had to have been bailed out by Tencent. That's the only thing keeping a lot of their major IPs alive. They're obviously firing a lot of people. A lot of leadership things are changing. All these other kind of canceled and failed projects, I'm sure, are all coming down the pipeline. Well, of course, it would not surprise anybody out there that any future Star Wars projects over there at Ubisoft would no longer be happening, despite the years of relationship over there with Lucasfilm and, of course, Disney Star Wars as a whole. But after the absolute disastrous dumpster fire that was Star Wars Outlaws, I mean, why would you even bother going back into the franchise? And after the CEO flat out said that it was Star Wars' fault that the brand was so damaged as to why the reason why that game flopped, despite all of the fact that, like, literally the game was a broken and buggy mess about a character nobody cared about. Obviously, that was extremely uglified, like we see in a lot of the modern comic book stuff going on out there. So needless to say, boys and girls, I don't think this latest rumor that we have running around out there would probably surprise absolutely anybody, and is certainly not at the realm of possibilities concerning the current state of Ubisoft in every single way, shape, and form. Because as you can see over here from the headline at thatparkplace.com, rumor: Ubisoft cancels Star Wars Outlaws sequel amid disappointing sales. Yeah, I think disappointing sales is a little bit of an understatement, and I love the fact that Marvin and everybody else over at that park place is so kind and generous to not tell them not to say this exactly what it was. Star Wars Outlaws is an absolute disastrous dumpster fire and cost the company hundreds of millions of dollars, and just one more nail in the coffin of the company, which of course the last one was of course Assassin's Creed Shadows, which hey, yeah, that worked out about as well as Star Wars Outlaws. So needless to say, boys and girls, it looks like Star Wars is officially canceled over there at Ubisoft, and honestly, I don't blame them in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to share this article from thatparkplace.com, getting all the juicy details of exactly what's going on here. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2K. We're inching our way closer and closer to 2,100, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Does it surprise you at all that Ubisoft is breaking its ties with Star Wars after everything that's happened? Does it make you sad that Ubisoft will not produce another Star Wars game? Did you enjoy Outlaws despite all of the criticisms out there? And were you hopeful for the future of Star Wars over there at Ubisoft? Let us know anything about all that in the comment section down below. If you like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Marvin Montanaro. In a galaxy not so far away, the Star Wars gaming universe faces another setback. A new rumor suggests that Ubisoft has quietly canceled development on a sequel to Star Wars Outlaws. I mean, why wouldn't they? They lost hundreds of millions of dollars on that game. The open world action adventure game released in 2024. Yeah, I mean, did you guys remember our videos on the Steam charts? Yeah. The report, originating from the industry insider Tom Henderson, claims the project was in early pre-production stages before being axed, largely due to the original game's underwhelming commercial performance. You mean abysmal failure. This development has sparked discussions among fans and analysts about the future of Star Wars video games and Ubisoft's strategy with licensed IPs. And it's one of them situations where it's not like the Star Wars brand cannot work inside of video games, right? Obviously, Jedi Survivor, that one and its sequel worked out really, really well. I mean, I know I loved Survivor. I had a blast with it. I haven't played the second one yet, but Survivor was absolutely incredible. So there's still a big desire to dive into the universe of Star Wars inside of that brand, inside of that franchise in video game format. It's just nobody has any desire to see anything come out of actual Disney Lucasfilm. And clearly nobody wanted anything out of Ubisoft either. And according to rumors out there, Kathleen Kennedy and all of those people were responsible for the storyline, for the uglification of the character, despite the actual model for the character being stunning and gorgeous. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, how much can you really give Ubisoft a pass considering what they've been doing to the IPs they actually completely and totally control? No, not so much. They were down with it. It's just now it's cost them everything, so now they're trying to backtrack on that. So Star Wars Outlaws, developed by Massive Entertainment and published by Ubisoft, launched on August 30th, 2024 for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series XS. The games followed supposed scoundrel Kay Vess and her companion Nix as they navigate the criminal underworld of the Star Wars galaxy, pulling off heists and evading the Empire between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, conveniently when Han Solo is in Carbonite. So, yeah, I'm sure that choice wasn't intentional at all. It featured an expansive open world, a reputation system with crime syndicates, and cameos from iconic characters like Jabba the Hutt and Millennium Falcon. And yeah, the Jabba the Hutt scenes and all those storylines were locked behind a paywall of $130 because you had to get the Ultra Super Special Edition to get the extra DLC, something that was probably included and cut from the game later on. The game received mixed reviews, averaging a Metacritic score of 76. User scores were similarly middling, around 3.9 out of 5 on platforms like the Epic Game Store. Sales fell short of expectations, with Ubisoft admitting in September 2024 the initial figures were softer than expected. Simply put, the game was a major flop and an embarrassing disaster for Disney and Ubisoft. Yes, exactly that. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot later pushed the blame onto Disney and Lucasfilm, attributing the flop to the Star Wars franchise being in choppy waters and citing broader challenges with the IP. Once again, why that doesn't prove true because of Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. So it's one of them situations where, yeah, not so much. That doesn't hold water. Post-launch, Ubisoft supported the game with updates focused on optimization, gameplay tweaks, and quality of life improvements. 2 major DLC expansions were released, Wildcard and A Pirate's Fortune, a latter involving Kay teaming up with pirate Hondo Okada to explore ancient tombs and battle new threats. And a Nintendo Switch 2 port is still slated for September 4th, 2025, completed with a new trailer showcasing enhanced features for the hybrid console. Yeah, needless to say, that's not going to go over very well. The Star Wars Outlaws sequel cancellation rumors surfaced on July 24th, 2025, during Insider Gaming's podcast, where Tom Henderson revealed that the Star Wars Outlaws 2 had been in early development, but never progressed to full production. According to Henderson, the sequel was conceptualized shortly after the first game's launch, but was shelved indefinitely due to the original's poor sales and reception. Boy, I wonder who could have seen that coming. I don't know. Every fan out there that told you this was a bad idea from the get-go, every other game that is historically flopped by doing this exact same kind of nonsense, uglifying a character and giving us more of the woke agenda-driven nonsense, and then on top of that, giving you a broken and buggy game on launch that literally even the IGN previews made it obvious the game was broken and buggy. Yeah, I'm sure that had nothing to do with the sequel getting canceled at all. This aligns with Ubisoft's recent cost-cutting measures and reevaluation of its portfolio amid financial pressures. No official statement has come from Ubisoft or Lucasfilm, leaving the rumor unconfirmed but widely circulated. Of course not. They're not going to want to make any kind of official announcement for them because that means they have to admit failure, that they did something wrong, and that's something that the ego and the narcissism that all of these people possessed by the spirit of the age are filled with can simply not allow. The primary culprit appears to be Star Wars Outlaws' commercial failure. Despite a hefty marketing push and whatever allure remains for the Star Wars brand, the game was criticized for repetitive missions, technical issues at launch, it was a broken and buggy mess, and the stealth stuff did not work at all. And it perceived a lack of innovation in its open-world formula. While Ubisoft leadership has publicly blamed external factors, including fan fatigue with the franchise, which is valid, insiders also suggest internal mismanagement and high development costs played a role in the game's downfall. In other words, Ubisoft had its share of the blame too. This cancellation can trigger broader troubles for Ubisoft, which has faced layoffs, project delays, and stock declines in recent years. The company has pivoted towards live service games and remakes, potentially viewing a Star Wars sequel as too risky. And I mean, it's not even that. They're broke. They are flat out broke. Every game that they put out over the last few years has been a loss. I mean, basically the last 5 to 10 years has been a loss leader. They have not been in the black in years when it comes to their finances. It is really bad. For Ubisoft, this can be a retreat from high-profile licenses, focusing instead on established franchises like Assassin's Creed. The Star Wars IP, meanwhile, continues to navigate challenges with recent films and shows receiving polarized reception. They are being way too nice over at That Park Place. No, it's failed miserably. As of now, the rumor remains unverified. Its rapid spread underscores the fragility of big-budget gaming in 2025. And honestly, I know Marvin and everybody over at That Park Place are trying to be as nice and as fair and as balanced as they possibly can. But at the end of the day, we know why these games failed. Do the budgets have a major factor to that? Yes. If you would have made Star Wars Outlaws on a shoestring budget of $50 to $150 million, you might have been able to argue the game made a profit. But at the end of the day, we know why these things failed, right? Because Star Wars and Ubisoft and the majority of Hollywood and especially everybody in entertainment and in all of your legacy institutions out there, especially among the media, have been possessed by the spirit of the age. They believe that they are right. They believe that their new modern way of thinking is so much different. It's something that we've never ever seen before. You know, the idea that men can become women and that gender is a complete and total lie and that LGBTQ can be perfectly acceptable and still somehow create a functioning society and continue to perpetuate the species. right? They believe that anything that represents beauty or that might inspire you to the divine or look up and might think of God is evil and wrong, right? Which is why they give you these butt ugly characters and take gorgeous actresses and change their models to where they are nigh unrecognizable in every way, shape, or form. This is not the first time we've seen this kind of stuff happen. If you go back and read the Old Testament, it is something that you happen to see time and time again. Actually, if just for historical purposes, if nothing else, go back and read the Old Testament, especially the days of Exodus and Kings and David and Solomon, because you will see this kind of culture you will see that exact culture go through the exact same things that we have gone into. We have faced a world that has been dominated by an attitude of narcissism, selfishness, and believing that they are the bestest thing that has ever come into the world. And we have seen what happens time and time again. They believe their agenda, their way of thinking is the right way of thinking, and they will educate, indoctrinate. And if you do not agree with their ideology, after all of that, they will eliminate you from polite society in every way, shape, or form that they possibly can. It's as it always ends up going with any kind of Marxist ideology, like what we've seen possess all of these groups out there. This stuff is straight from the bowels of hell, and we have now seen that the majority of the audience is still a bunch of common sense regular folks, a bunch of regular geeks and nerds out there, a bunch of regular gamers that do not want this garbage in their escapism. And guess what? It didn't work. And every single time in the video game industry, we have seen them concentrate on identity politics and pushing an agenda. And instead of good storytelling and giving you a proper game, we have seen this happen time and time again, whether it be a broken and buggy system right from the very launch, or an ugly, irrespectable, disrespectful, insane character that nobody wants in any way, shape, or form, and a franchise that has historically been very respectful to the areas that it's in. Guess what? The fans don't want it, and they haven't. You are the ones that live in a bubble. The majority of fans don't want your ideology, and they reject it, and they will continue to reject it until you change your ways or go completely and totally bankrupt and stop producing content. Either way, I am happy to see it. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, it is a good thing to hear that the Star Wars Outlaws sequel is canceled and Ubisoft will not be delving into the world of Star Wars anytime soon. And honestly, after the disastrous dumpster fires that they have been part of over the last few years, the less video games Ubisoft produces probably is the best thing for the culture. And guess what? At the end of the day, boys and girls, they have gotten exactly what they have deserved. Ubisoft and Star Wars decided to dance with the devil. They've gotten burned, and it has cost them billions of dollars. And in the case of Ubisoft, it's literally bankrupted their company. After all, go woke, go broke.